Hey, what's going on, everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another Pioneer deck tech. And today, we're going to be talking about Wizard Burn in Pioneer. I'm very excited to bring this list to you. As always, before we hop into the video, let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the list? Is there a card that I definitely should have included in the deck that I didn't? And if you have any suggestions for upcoming videos, just let me know in the comment section. Okay, so to no one's surprise, the card that's in the thumbnail has pretty much been the talk of the town for the most part from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. It's a really, really strong card, but I think a lot of people know this, but some people don't realize that its creature typing actually helps it out a lot because it is a wizard. And there has already been like a Wizard Burn style deck for a while in Pioneer, and slotting that into the deck is pretty much perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about the deck real quick. So our early drops here, we have 4 Gitu Lava Runner, 4 Soulscar Mage, and 4 Kumano Faces Kakazan. It's kind of like a, it's kind of like a pseudo creature. You got like the front side of it there, and then it transforms into Etching of Kumano. It itself's not a wizard, but it doesn't matter. Kumano is just really, really good. So yes, Gitu Lava Runner. You don't really see the card as much anymore just because, it's typically not as good as like Monster Swift Spear and such like that. And I would still say that Swift Spear is a little bit better, but this deck is more, I would say, flavorful a little bit. I wanted the flavor of pretty much every creature in the deck being a wizard, and that's why we're playing the Gitu Lava Runner. And it's also pretty sweet because late game, it's also a 2/2 with haste, which is not going to be hard for us to make it a 2/2 with haste in this deck at all. Huge fan of Soulscar Mage as well. If our opponent's playing any big creatures, we can shrink them with our burn spells potentially. Huge fan of Soulscar Mage. So those are our early drops that we're playing, except we also have a couple more we got to talk about. We're also playing 4 Viashino Pyromancer. It's a wizard from, standards past, but it's still pretty good being able to deal 2 damage to a player planeswalker. But we're also playing 4 Slick Shot Show Off, obviously because it is the new card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Flying in haste 1/2 for 2 with plot for 2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Slick Shot Show Off gets +2/+0 until end of turn. This card is really good because, here's an example. We play the Slick Shot on turn 2, we attack for 1, and the next turn, let's say we just go, all right, burn spell you, trigger +2/+0, so you're already taking 2 damage, and then we burn spell you for 3, you're going to take 3 damage, and then you're going to get another +2/+0 with the Slick Shot Show Off. This card is going to be, it's really good. Slick Shot Show Off is fantastic. Very strong card from the new set here. So what other non-creatures besides Kumano are we actually pairing with Slick Shot Show Off and our other wizards? So we're playing 4 Play with Fire, 4 Wild Slash, and 1 Spikefield Hazard as our main 1 mana spells, which we're technically playing more than just this for the 1 mana spell slot, but we'll talk about that in just a moment. So Play with Fire obviously is the best shock you can play in the format. Wild Slash is the second best one by default. The Ferocious, it's not going to happen a lot. Typically people are not preventing damage for the most part in the format. It's really just a slightly better shock. And then Spikefield Hazard, I would say, is kind of pseudo a land. We're playing 19 lands, and then we're also playing the Spikefield Hazard, so we're pretty much playing 20 lands for the most part. But, I decided to throw it here just because it is technically a 1-drop burn spell. And then our last slide here, we're playing 4 Wizards Lightning, 4 Skewer the Critics, and 4 Light Up the Stage. So I know I said technically that was, these are and aren't 1 mana spells, but if you actually look at the spells, they're pretty much 1 mana. So Wizards Lightning, it costs 2 less if we control a wizard. Guess what? We're playing a whole bunch of wizards in our deck. This is essentially just a lightning bolt. Skewer the Critics, kind of the same thing. If an opponent has been dealt damage, it only costs 1 red. So it's kind of like, again, a lightning bolt. And Light Up the Stage is definitely not a lightning bolt, but it's very good. Exile the top 2 cards of your library, and until end of your next turn, you may play those cards, and then obviously we have the Spectacle cost on there, so it's going to be essentially 1 red and kind of like a draw 2 for the most part. Definitely a huge fan of Light Up the Stage. The card is definitely very good. So that's our entire main board, because we're pretty much just playing a whole bunch of 4-ubs. So let's go ahead and talk about our lands here. So we're playing 4 Den of the Bugbear and 4 Raminap Ruins. Obviously, Den is really good. If we have some extra mana, we kind of run out of gas, we can activate the Den of the Bugbear and get frisky. Raymond Ruins, kind of the same thing. You know, let's say we get a little bit of a land heavy hand, we can sacrifice deserts, or which the only deserts we're playing is the Raymond Ruins. But you know, sometimes that 2 damage can mean like winning and losing. I can't tell you how many times I've either played mono red or played against mono red, and they'd get me to 2 life, and then they'd play the Raymond Ruins, and I'm automatically dead. I can't tell you how many times it's happened. Definitely a huge fan of Raymond Ruins. And then rounding out our lands, we're playing 1 Sekenzen. Obviously, it's free. Why don't we obviously play it? And then we're playing 10 Mountains. And as our spicy basic land of the day, we're playing the brand new full art from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, which I'm assuming most people can kind of see this, but you can see like the mountain red mana symbol there, kind of like with the rocks and everything like that. It's definitely very, very sweet. Huge fan of this artwork in general. It was the same artist that did all of the all the basics from this set, so huge fan of the artwork. So that's the entire main board, but don't go anywhere yet. We still have to talk about our sideboard as well as some budget options. So the sideboard is really, really simple. So I know it says Anit life gain, but we're going to want some anti-life gain. I don't even know what Anit life gain is, but we're going to want some anti-life gain. I personally would recommend Rampaging Ferocidon. I think that's the best card for it. You could also play Giant Cindermaw as well. Creature removal. So I know what you're saying. Well, you know, our burn spells, they can kill creatures. Most of the time, we're not going to be wanting, excuse me, can't say that. We don't want to kill creatures with those burn spells. But, you know, we could bring in cards, for instance, like Obliterating Bolt is a really, really good way to remove, you know, larger creatures. I'm also forgetting the name of it all of a sudden, but it's the new red, deals 5 to any creature from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I was just looking at the card right before I recorded the video here. But anyways, that's also really good because you can take out Shieldra and some other bigger creatures. We're going to want some Vampire Hate. I would personally recommend a card like Pithing Needle, or you could also play Tears of Valakut. It's 2 mana, can't be countered. It deals 5 damage to a creature with flying. So that way, you know, if we somehow don't have a creature in play, we don't need to pay the ward. We can just deal the 5 damage to it because it can't be countered. And the last thing I want to mention is the current build of the deck right now, we can actually play Giganta, funny enough. Just be careful, you know, depending on what you do for your sideboard, you know, your spells could end up having like double pips. So just be aware of that. You don't have to play the Giganta. It was pretty much just how we built the deck currently. We were able to play it. So I just threw it in the sideboard. We're not going to be putting it in our hand very often. We're not going to be casting it very often, but for those who don't play a lot of companions, every time you mention before the game you're not going to cast the Giganta, you always end up casting the Giganta. It's the weirdest causality loop pretty much in the entire game. So, but anyways, and the last thing we have to talk about is our budget options, which is really, really simple here. So you're going to want to cut the Den of the Bugbears in the Sekenzen. You can pretty much just put in more mountains. There's really not any other good substitutes you could do. And you could technically also swap the Play with Fires with Shocks, but that's pretty much it. The current list as it is right now, 100% tuned, is only $100 US, which is incredibly cheap for a fully tuned good Pioneer deck. That's extremely cheap. And you can easily get it to under $50 because, again, the only parts that are really pricey for the most part is the lands and the Slickshot show-offs. I want to say they're going for about like $7, $8 US a piece right now. So the deck is easily under $50. So if you really, really love red decks or aggro decks, or just, you know, maybe even if you don't like Pioneer, you just want to get the game with as quick as you can, if you just want to get the game over with, then this is definitely a solid deck for you to play. This deck is really, really strong. Burn has been a deck for a while in Pioneer, but it's nice to kind of change up the flavor a little bit, you know, and definitely play some new cards, especially Slickshot Show-Off. So that takes us to the end of the video here. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about the list? What card did I forget to put in that I did not? And if you'd like to check out the deck list, you know, the official sideboard and everything that I'm playing, it's going to be in the description below. Normally I do include the budget list, but once again, there's only like a couple cards you really have to swap for the most part for the budget deck, so I did not include one in this video. But huge shout out to our channel members, Ralph and Matt. If you are interested in being a channel member, it's only $1 a month. You get access to the exclusive Discord as well as other benefits here on the channel. So I'm Commander Crane. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.